first thing I do. And I check in with myself and say, if I can do this, the rest of the day is easy.
You do that every day?
Every day. It doesn't matter where I am in the world, even if I'm not at my altar, that is the first thing. I'll get up and scroll and do whatever, but when I'm activating for the day, I go to my altar or go to a spot, like center myself, ground. I always say the Lord's Prayer, my own prayer, and then I repeat the lyrics of my friend's song, the Shandellas, gorgeous group. They have a song called Lullaby. And the words of the song say, I am what God made, beautiful and brave. Every fiber of me is perfectly lovely. I will be myself today. And I repeat that to myself every morning.
Is your altar, is it a traveling altar or is it at your home?
It's at my home, but then I'll like take my crystals with me or have Palo Santo with me wherever I go. Yeah, if you carry the light, you don't have to like look for the light.
You heard that here first, folks. More questions? In the black?
What's next? What are you working on?
Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil is coming to Broadway. Lady should believe. We had a great summer in Chicago at the Goodman Theater.
It was wonderful.
Thank you. We don't know when, but that is slated to be next.
That's Jason Robert Brown.
Jason Robert Brown.
Oh, is that?
Jason wrote me a song the day before we started tech rehearsal that just like locked the show in and we like made sense. And everybody, like there wasn't a dry in the room and it like, we were like, okay, we got something. We don't know what the rest of it is, but this is it. Like, and it was just so crazy because we were like, literally we're doing our last studio run and you're like bringing a new song to the, like, what? But it's special.
Was that a pinch me moment when you're like, I'm working with Jason Robert Brown, he's writing music for me?
Yeah, because he literally took me aside that morning just to have a conversation. He's like, listen, as a cis straight white man writing for a black trans queer experience, give me some grace, let me ask some questions, I just want to understand. And I thought he was going to go change a lyric in one of the previous songs or like tweak some things. And he came back after lunch and was like, come in the room. And just the two of us, he sat down and played and sang this song for me. And the first 8 bars, I was like, yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited.
That's incredible. We don't know when it's coming yet.
No.
Okay. All right, we have to keep our ears peeled. It's called Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Yes, based on the best-selling book and the movie. And then it was wild to have people from Savannah come see the show who used to work with Chablis, who like knew her, who grew up watching her. John Barrett, who wrote the book, came to the show, and they were like,
where was this, out of town?
In Chicago at the
Goodman
Theater. Yeah, even the synchronicities of the woman who did our show, Art, was the same person who did the show Art for Some Like It Hot. She's also a trans woman and was friends with Chablis. And she came to the show the same night as John Barrett, and she caught me as she was leaving the theater. And she was just like, I feel like I was back at Club One seeing my friend perform. Thank you.
Oh my God!
More than I could have asked for.
That's incredible. I also wanted to ask, and this might be an unfair question, but between Kinky Boots, Some Like It Hot, and Miss Doubtfire, what was your favorite show to work on?
How dare you? Oh, they're all so like precious and wonderful and like different. And I mean, Kinky Boots changed my life in every way. The relationship with my father, my family, myself, like that really cracked me open, and I got to like ignite this fire that was like, oh, okay, let's go do this.
Which of those 3 could you do for 10 years?
Kinky Boots, because it's easier.
It's easier.
Yeah, Something Like It Hot was hard. Okay, thank you, Ty.
Ty is back here, who was also in Some Like It Hot, by the way, my producer, and she was like, it was hard.
Like, no joke. Every day before the show, we would all circle up, like 10 minutes before the show, people were coming down on stage, like warming up the bodies, checking in, getting with their dance partners, because people were literally being thrown around in the opening number.
Literally.
And we got together every day and raised each other up, and we were like, all right, let's ride this train together. Let's like carry this load, because it was not easy for any of us. I literally won Tony with a hole in my foot.
With I saw you in a boot.
I had like foot issues, like with the heels and the tapping and the running and the things, and my body was doing a lot of stuff. And so it was like, yeah, I literally had holes in my feet.
Ooh. Also, I just want to say that I really love Adriana Hicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. She's in 6 right now again, you guys. That was his other co-star in Some Like It Hot. Do we have more questions? All the way in the back.
Hi, Jay. I'm wondering, when you're creating looks or any of your art, how do you go about the conceptualizing? Like, do you sketch or do you just close your
I
eyes
just
and
play
think
and
about it?
trust my instinct.
Yeah. And
Do you
then how
go
do you know
for
when
the
to
feeling?
stop?
Say that again?
How do you know when to stop?
Again, really tapping into like knowing myself, and there are moments like trust. I get dressed sometimes and look at myself in the mirror and be like, "You are doing the most." Oh well, and it's the thing of like I love that people look at me a lot of times and say, "Oh, I could never wear that. You look great," and I'm like, "Well, because you haven't freed yourself to see yourself. You haven't given yourself the permission to even play in that area." And so that's how I go about dressing myself and creating. I go, "Well, great. Don't limit yourself. Play, and if it feels good, keep going, and if it doesn't, stop."
You over there.
Thank you. There's a young lady, a beautiful Colombian Latina sitting next to me,
Yeah.
who I am lucky enough to call my daughter.
Oh.
She's been in 18 shows in the last 3 years.
What?
It's like a
You're the mother.
completely different human being when she gets up on stage. But if I'm being honest, she's trying to find her voice in public. Can sometimes be an ugly industry. So if you were to give advice to a young lady who's 12 years old, breaking out, trying to find her way, what would you say to her, Jay? And also, she would love to sign this if you could.
Gladly, I would gladly sign it. Yes, this industry is not for the faint of heart, and yet anything is possible. One of the things I've learned is you can become everything on stage and be everything, and then off stage you can still be yourself. You don't have to meet and match everybody's energy that comes at you. You can remain neutral and true to who you are on top of what you're capable of doing. So as I often say, it's like, I do Broadway, I am not Broadway. I can do it and leave it in the building.
Has it been easy for you to leave it in the building?
Not always. Like, I mean, it is something that I have to accept. And it's also something I've tried to prepare myself for, but nothing can prepare you for when it actually comes. Like up to these moments, I would ride the train and be like, well, there may be a day where I can't ride the train and not be recognized and not be noticed. And even though I am in a sequin and a thing, I don't do this for attention. I do it because it's how I feel and it's what I like. And if I like it and you love it, you're welcome.
How do you identify and that can be answered in a lot of different ways, but I think what I'm asking is like, during the pandemic, when Broadway went away, how was that for you in terms of what you do for a living it's not there right now?
Yeah, one of the things, and I need this reminder. I need this reminder right now for myself that you have to give yourself purpose. That was one of the things I did on the Kinky Boots tour of like swinging. That was my first time swinging. And so I was off stage and I was like, wait, you want me to just sit over here and do nothing while people like do a show? And then I was like, oh, the check clears every Thursday. I'm like, y'all still have me around, so great. Okay, cool. But it was that thing of backstage, I made myself the artistic director of backstage activity. Because I also noticed that like people in the industry were not communicating. Like the hair department wasn't talking to costume, wasn't talking to stage management, and you're like, I thought this was a production. Nope, y'all need to know things. And so I would just kind of like drop, like, oh, just so y'all know, hair, costume, this is happening, so-and-so's going on.
And they're like, what? When?
But finding purpose for myself, and during the pandemic, that was one of the things, was like, I was still creating and finding purpose of how to reach people and be effective in my humanity and in my artistic abilities. able to trust that, yeah.
Keith?
So, one of the things that I know I've had the pleasure of being both of you in different settings, but I would like for you, Jay, to address the moment that you realized that you were going to become a role model. Because as you walk through this process of being you, you're not conscious of the rest of the world. That moment when it hit you that you are going to be role model, how did you feel when it happened? And how have you managed to accept it and continue on doing it?
Good question, Keith.
Very great question. And I think one of the pivotal moments was the moment they asked me which category I wanted to be considered in for the Tonys. Because I had to actually allow myself to go to the moment of receiving it, to like physically allow myself to receive the award and say, who are you? What do you stand in? What do you believe? Who do you represent? And understanding that that wasn't something to be taken lightly. And again, that not everybody was going to understand how I operated in that. And so that was a very clarifying moment for myself to say, all right, people are looking to you. What do you have to say?
What does it mean to you to be a non-binary actor in this field? Like you just said the most iconic thing ever. Like they asked you what category you want to be in, and it's not. There's no box for you. There's no box.
And again, it's like when you're creating a blueprint that doesn't exist, it's not easy, and you have to trust walking in the dark sometimes. Of like, okay, yeah, I got my light with me, but I can only see to a certain point. And I just got to keep trusting that, like, as long as I am staying true to who I am and following my instinct that, like, that is right and that is enough. Yeah, and it's an everyday battle of, like, how do I maneuver this?
I mean, have you ever had to share a dressing room?
Yeah,
Like an ensemble dressing room?
Yeah.
Have you ever had to like speak up for yourself of like what you need in that dressing room, or are you always good to go?
no, I have spoken up. Like on the Kiki Boots tour when I was swinging, at the time, one of our cast members' ego was very large, and they were a cover. And they came into the dressing room and they were like, all right, girls, try not to upstage me today. And they thought they were, being cute and coy. And we were like, yeah, no, your energy right now and other times have proven to us that we were like, mm-mm. And I went to company management and was like, just so you know, there are people in this company who are bringing energy that is not conducive to like positive energy. And like, we band together that day and we were like, so we're all doing the most today? Great, let's go. Yeah, having to speak up and be like, that rubs me the wrong way. I can't.
Have there been other times where you needed to, thank you, 5. Have there been other times when you needed to speak up and advocate for yourself to leadership or anything for what you needed?
Yeah, Some Like It Hot taught me that, like, going through my physical, what my body was putting me through with the show, with my health, with my wellness, I had to speak up and be like, I love y'all, I love doing what I do, but like, I gotta go sit down. My body is telling me it needs attention and I have to go give it that. And then on top of that, like my father passed away during that time.
God, I did not
So
know that.
then I had to literally keep them informed all the time of like, hey, at any given moment, I will give you a call and be like, I'm in North Carolina, I'm not even coming to work tonight. Like, those kinds of situations where like, again, I do Broadway, I'm not Broadway. This cannot consume me. I have a life outside of this building.
See, I'm so glad you said that out loud because as like a young person like coming into the industry, when I had somebody in my family die, I didn't know how to speak up for myself. I'm like, hey, my auntie just died, and I was waiting for them to say, take the time you need, and no one said that, and I missed the funeral.
Yeah.
And to have to stand up for yourself and to advocate for yourself, it takes bravery sometimes. You think it would be easy, and sometimes it doesn't feel like it's easy, especially if it's your first big gig, especially if you're just getting your foot in the door. It's like you feel like you have to do everything to be there. And so hearing somebody say, no, I had to stand up for myself and do this thing, it's just a reminder that that's sometimes what we have to do for ourselves when other people won't do it for us.
Yeah.
We have a couple more minutes. Do we have more questions? All the way in the back. And then you'll next. You next. But you all the way back.
You go for it.
You girl.
Hi. I just want to say, a few years ago, we took my 10-year-old little cousin to see Some Like It Hot. It is his favorite show ever. He always says you are his favorite performance ever, and he just talks about it all the time. He compares all shows he sees now to you, and he would kill me if I didn't say hi. So hi from Bryce to Jen. He loves you.
Give Bryce all my love.
Thank you.
That's so sweet. And then you right there. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing everything. I love everyone's profound questions. I apologize in advance for my question. My question to you, Jay, is all your looks, the Tony Award looks, the Met Gala looks, do you still have them? Will you
Yes.
wear them again?
I will wear them again.
Where?
Literally, that butterfly look is like on the mannequin in my house, like the train is draped over this futon. The bow is like in the storage unit and in my closet. The train is and my Tony look is in the closet, and I will like style it again some way or other. Because again, those are like multiple pieces, and I love them. Yeah, so I will.
Over here on the wall.
What are some comparisons or preferences between performing as a drag performer before Broadway versus on Broadway, either in drag or in some other capacity?
Yeah, it's nice for other people to produce things for you sometimes. High quality drag. But like I do miss sometimes the nightlife energy and it kept me fresher sometimes in a way because I held myself to this standard of like, okay, every time you see me, I have to be doing a different number. I have to be wearing something different. Or at least I enjoy being that queen who's like, how different can I be? And that's the fun I get to do in Broadway and everything else. It's like, oh no, give me an opportunity and I'll show you I can do that too. Like getting to do Velma Kelly at the Muni was like,
That's wild.
but it was like, yeah, if a human is capable of doing the work and it doesn't take away from it, give someone the chance. And so it's wonderful to be able to be opening those doors to be like, oh no, there are so many capable humans of doing the job required. And so I've taken that mentality into Broadway and being like, yeah, you see it a limited way, but like, let me show you there's another way.
Also, about 10,000 seats at the Beauty. Come
Oh.
on, Velma Kelly, let's
That-
go.
yeah.
That's so iconic.
It was, and we finished and all that jazz. And then I rolled the elevator down and it was just like.
We have time for one last question right here in the red.
Sway. I want to ask, would you or would you not, if you had to choose, drag the musical or Jellicle Ball?
Jellicle Ball, I haven't seen Drag the Musical yet, but the Jellicle Ball that's the kind of stuff I want to be doing and more of that in the world of like, let's take what you know and twist it. And like, that's what a revival should be. It should be a different way of giving the same material new life.
Yeah.
Coming to Broadway, what
The Jellicle Ball?
I hope so. I mean, listen, it was literally the hot ticket last year where like, I was in Chicago and was like, can y'all extend one more time until we get back, please? I need to see it.
you said?
I mean, you never know.
You guys, that's all the time we have for today. I